In this video, I want to go through one tip that's going to improve your videos and just make them more enjoyable for your audience, while also adding some different components that's actually going to bring out more of the story that you're trying to tell. And this really goes for any style of video that you're creating, especially here on YouTube. There is this trend pushing towards more DIY or more of this in real life kind of content where you're just walking around vlogging with a camera and it's a little bit more raw feeling. However, with that, if you still apply filmmaking techniques, it's really going to help take your videos to the next level. So in this video, I want to talk about one essential shot that you should be grabbing every time you're going out and filming. But first, a disclaimer, no one is sponsoring this video, but this channel is supported by those of you who buy my creator courses over on the Creator Film School. I have a whole course that's 30 days to become an adventure creator. I also have a whole course on how to use storytelling to create shorts that can go viral. And also I just dig into visual storytelling and anything YouTube. So make sure you head over to the Creator Film School after you're done watching this video. To think about this one shot, you can ask this question: where are we and what does it feel like to be here? So just thinking about that is going to help you create what's called an establishing shot. Now, I know a lot of you have heard about an establishing shot. However, I want to show you why it's so important. And no matter what style of video that you're creating, it's going to become super helpful that you actually grab these when you're out filming. And let me show you just a quick sample of what this shot looks like. So here's a scene that I was filming when I was doing a project in India. We were sitting down to eat this kind of yogurt that a local farmer wanted to share with us. And so we have a few shots, B-roll of the yogurt itself, and then we actually have us in this moment experiencing this. So a lot of times creators will stop right here, and this is all they'll capture from the scene. Everything that happened, which is very important. However, asking that question, where are we and what does it feel like to be here, is going to help set up this scene so much better. And so after we were done capturing the scene, I took a step back and grabbed an establishing shot. And this is what the establishing shot looks like. It's me and my buddy Jake walking into this farm. And so this one shot put at the beginning of the scene sets up where we're at and what does it feel like to be here. You see the cows, you see the architecture, you kind of see the environment. Having this extra information is very important for the viewer. When you're making videos, it's a visual medium. It's called visual storytelling for a reason. So you want to use visuals to convey aspects of your story and not just talk about everything. You want to do a mix of visual storytelling, but then the other part of it is you talking on camera or the people that you're interacting with. But you don't want to have everything be in voiceover expository explaining everything. Your viewers can start to get a sense of the place and what's going on just from the visual cues that you're giving them. So there's essentially 4 reasons why these establishing shots are so important. Number 1, at its very basic level, you're setting up where you're at, what you're doing at the scene. So establishing shots are very good to be used at the very beginning of a scene. So you get to a location, you show this big wide shot, this kind of shows what's going on. Maybe it's just you're off in the distance, or maybe it's you walking into a scene. It's starting the scene. Point of it is you're just showing where you're at. You're just kind of painting that picture, giving people a few seconds of what's going on, and then you get into the scene. Now, a big tip when you're shooting these kind of shots, or any B-roll for that matter, is make sure you're capturing enough footage. So think 10, 15 seconds of footage. Let the camera roll. Because the worst thing is when you get back into the edit and you have a bunch of 2-second clips and it actually doesn't work because you need a little bit more breathing room. You need a little bit more time showing that scene. So don't just walk around and rattle off some quick shots. Like, let your camera roll. Just let it just get more and more footage. There's times where having just long shots is actually really useful in the edit. And with these establishing shots, it's either a moment just kind of stepping back and seeing the whole scene, or it's actually being used to introduce what's going on. So as I said, walking into the scene, like I showed you with this sample from India. Now, the second reason that these shots are so important is that they're good for transitions. So if you're going from one scene to the next, so say you're a food creator, you're going from one restaurant to the next, well, just putting an establishing shot right between those 2 scenes just helps break up the narrative a little bit and lets your viewer experience as you're going from restaurant to restaurant. And so it's super useful to have these visual cues that kind of give your audience a moment to take a breath, see what's going on, and see that you've transitioned. And this could be transition from location to location. It could be a transition in time from day to day or even day to night. Having these bigger, wider shots is a great opportunity to move the timeline and be able to go from one spot to the next. Now, the third reason that these shots are super important is that it helps set the mood and the tone. And the big thing you want to think about here is, what do you want your audience to feel? How do you want them to walk into the scene that you're filming? These visual cues help set the mood of the kind of place that you're in and give you a feeling. And it really helps set the mood for what you're doing and kind of gives your audience that visual indication of what this area is like and what's going on here. And with that, the fourth reason, which is that it builds the world and it becomes more of this immersive experience. So your audience feels much more connected with what's going on because they're being immersed in the content. And as I said at the beginning of this video, there's been this push recently to more in real life content, or more of this kind of low effort content where it's not so highly produced, but it has just kind of this feeling of immersion. Like you're going into a new culture, you're going into a new place, and you just get to experience it and you get to go along with the creator. Part of that is just letting the cameras roll and kind of filming everything. But if you're intentional with your filmmaking techniques, you can achieve this as well, while also making your videos, just look a little bit better than just someone running around with their phone. So adding things like an establishing shot where you get the camera away from yourself and it's not all in POV running around. That's going to help set up the scene. It's going to help give you that sense of immersion. You're really going to feel the scene before you actually get into the scene. So kind of the big takeaways from this video, and this is something that I want you to write down, is have this question in your mind when you're filming a new scene. Where are we and what does it feel like to be here? If you can answer that in one shot, then that's great. Then create that shot and use it. And like I said, film it before you go in or even after. A lot of times you film something and you might realize what's the most important things that you want to show before you actually get into the scene, and then you film that after. The second thing I want you to write down is show, don't tell. This is just a visual storytelling thing that you should keep in the back of your mind whenever you're making videos, because we're a visual medium. Show, don't tell. So if you can, show things as much as possible visually when you're creating things with your camera, because it's going to help elevate your videos and just create more of that immersion, which is one of the big things that we're going for when we're creating content for our viewers. Now, let me give you some practical tips on how to get an establishing shot. Tripod. That's going to be the easiest way. Put the camera on a tripod, put a nice wide lens on it, put it far away, and put it at a different angle that you're not getting when you're actually walking into the location that you're in. So if you're going into a restaurant and you're filming a scene where two people are talking, well, step back and just grab a wide shot of the restaurant so you could see where the location is. Now, another way to get these big wide establishing shots is a drone. If you have the ability to use a drone where you're filming, this is a great tool to be able to grab these establishing shots, because getting a camera up in the sky away from yourself really will set the scene. However, you don't want to get yourself so far away that you really can't get that sense of immersion. To get these specifics type of establishing shots where you're really immersing your audience, you almost want to be close enough that you see the characters, you see them interacting with what's going on, but you're also wide enough that you see other elements in the frame as well. You see things going on around you. This is really going to help set up the scene. Oftentimes when I see drone shots that are being used to establish something, they might be so far away, it's almost like you're seeing the whole landscape and everything, which is good for a different style of establishing shot. If you're really trying to set up the bigger location, like the place that you're in, the landscapes, the mountains, all of that. However, you want to focus in a little bit more so you could set up where you are in this scene and just immerse the audience right there with you. So it feels like they're almost like a third person just standing over here. It's kind of a good way to think about it. Like if that viewer was with you, and they were kind of hanging out watching what you're doing, where would they be? They would be maybe like right over here, and they'd get a sense of kind of the whole scene and kind of feel what's going on around you. So kind of have that third person mentality when you're thinking of these kind of shots, and be like, where would the viewer be? What would they be watching as we're going through and entering into this restaurant or going into this new location that I'm going to shoot this scene in? Now, if you want to learn more about how to grow your YouTube channel or make better videos that viewers are actually going to want to watch, then make sure you head over to the Creator Film School. And next, if you want another tip on how to get better footage when you're out making your videos, check out this video right here. It's another one of my visual storytelling tutorials, and I take you through something that you need to start doing when you're out filming. See you over there.